Thank you for listening to Lone Star Community Radio. This program was broadcasted and recorded live from the LSCR studios in downtown Conroe, Texas. Lone Star Community Radio is supported by listeners like you. Donate and sponsor today. For more information on getting involved with Lone Star Community Radio, contact us at lscrstudios@gmail.com or visit us online at www.irlonestar.com.
Welcome back to the Misunderstood Show. I'm Karen the Connector. Today we have a very special guest. We have Seed to Harvest. It's a local nonprofit that helps young people coming out of difficult situations so they can go to college and get a car and get on their feet. And we have Sandra Ricks. She's the Chief Encouragement Officer there. She takes care of the kids. She's like the Seed to Harvest mama. She's an awesome lady who gives back to our community by helping all of these young people and kids get started in life with resources. And anyway, I'm going to let her tell you all about that today. So we have Sandra on today. We have Ebony and we have Robert. Ebony and Robert are interns for Seed to Harvest. They are getting on their feet. Anyway, so I want to let Sandra talk today and tell us all about Seed to Harvest.
Thank you for having us, Karen. Seed to Harvest is a nonprofit that sort of gives support and builds a network under students that possibly are not resourced with a sort of what you would call a normal family situation where you have people who are sending people to college and taking care of them, paying for everything, and a phone call away if there's like some issue. Some of our students don't have anybody in their life. Some people only have one or two, and those people are working really hard to take care of themselves as well. So what we do is sort of build a network. We give resources. We talk about adulting things and things that possibly that they haven't been taught or don't know about or haven't been exposed to. So also, we'll just start off with financial aid. We have the ability to help people make sure that they're getting the financial aid they need. There's also some food resources. A lot of times students, people don't know this, but students who are in college have a huge food insecurity issue. And what that means is that they don't necessarily eat 3 meals a day. When I first started working out in Prairie View, which is where we are right now, I met a lot of students who just eat once, and that is because that's all they can afford. When people think about people going to college, they think everything's taken care of. They're in a dorm, they have a cafeteria. Well, all that stuff costs money, and so when you're only dealing with a certain budget and you're not having you're having zero parent contribution, then you have to decide where those dollars are going to go. Are you going to eat, or are you going to buy your books for your class? Are you going to have a car, or are you going to have somewhere to live? Or are you going to live in your car, which does happen quite a bit also. And especially with Prairie View being where it's located, there's not a lot of job opportunities. There's not a grocery store, and so people don't have a car there, then they're not going to be getting employed, and so that cuts off a lot of their income also. So we work with people out in Prairie View who are providing housing off campus, which is usually the choice for people who have a limited amount of financial aid and they want their dollars to go as far as they can. They're not going to live in the dorms. It's much more expensive. And we work with those people and try to get good rates, no late fees, some low deposits so that students can have housing stability and they can start on their voyage.
When you say no late fees, I'm sorry. My allergies are terrible, really bad. East Texas is not kind to me. I'm so allergic to pine trees. I feel like every show I'm always congested. If y'all know a remedy for that, please let me know. I'm like, try honey, all this stuff. But anyway, off track. So when you talk about the late fees, so the late fees are caused because a lot of times they're waiting for their financial aid so that they can pay their rent. And they'll get late fees incurred. Sometimes they're hundreds of dollars.
Yes. So your financial aid, they have to start school in August, but their financial aid doesn't come until September.
Which is odd.
Well, yeah, that's just the way of the world in college. but it doesn't take into account people who don't have that cushion to pay that first month's rent. And so we work with landlords to do a financial aid agreement with the student and the landlord that they will pay, when they get their financial aid, they will pay their semester's rent, and they won't incur any late fees between August and September.
That's awesome. And then you're talking about the food, insecurity, which is very dear to my heart because I had food insecurity most of my childhood and into my young adult life. And it's hard. Like you're talking about, you only get one meal a day. And unfortunately, I didn't have those kind of resources like this. And that's why this is such a big deal for me to get people aware of this situation and get help. Because if, we can spread this throughout the country or the world, that it's just, to me, it's ridiculous that anybody on this planet right now should be going hungry. There's resources all over the place. We should all be helping each other. And so how do they go about with that? Do they just buy them groceries with donations? Do they buy them a food hall pass?
So it can be, mostly we kind of pool resources and do a grocery shopping trip. Again, as I said, there's not a grocery store out in Prairie View, so we'll go to Cypress and we'll say, okay, everybody get groceries for the week. This is how much money we have. We divide it up between the people that we have and just make that work. So gift cards from grocery stores or cash donations or that kind of thing. We've also tried really hard to work with the Department of Human Services and get food stamps for the students. The student rules for food stamps is very strict. If you are a student, you have to be working 20 hours a week minimum. Again, like I said, there are not a lot of employment opportunities out there, so it's hard to get that job. So what we would ask too is if
why are they not allowed employment opportunities? Why is
it's
that
not
an
that
issue?
they're not allowed, there's just nothing out there to work at.
Right. So where are they getting jobs at?
They're
Seed
getting
to
jobs
Harvest?
with us.
Yeah, with
Yeah,
Seed to
so we
Harvest.
do internships.
So they need jobs too.
Yes.
So they need like online jobs.
Yes,
Work
because-
from home jobs.
Right. Yes, they could do if people have data entry or they have
Need a
things
flyer made
yes,
for your
things like
marketing
that.
materials.
Project-based work that our students could do from home or from their home at Prairie View, and
So they have internet. So y'all provide internet computers. I donated
Yes.
some computers not long ago.
yes, we have houses and apartments that we work with the students in, and they become part of our little family, and they build a community amongst themselves. And we have community meals on Wednesdays, try to cook something and have everybody come in, and then we take plates to people who can't come in. Just also to build.
So y'all are teaching the kids how to
peer.
cook too, because a lot of kids don't know how to cook. I didn't know
Yes.
how to cook.
Well-
I knew how to make like ramen and mac and cheese, but I didn't even know how to make eggs. So you should have seen my eggs in the beginning. They were
I will say that
interesting.
that we have some very good cooks in our group, some people who are very talented.
That's awesome. So what about like barbecue pits and stuff? Is that something that y'all could use, like as far as like so
Yeah,
they
the
can do
people
like
in the
outdoor
houses,
cooking
they could do
and
that, yeah.
donating charcoal and lighter fluid and having because I know kids like to sit outside
Yep.
and barbecue and have a
Yep.
little fun and grill,
Yes,
learning how to do all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's
And I feel like too, like when you do that, you can cook more in bulk. So I think that that's a really good opportunity. What else are you? So you help them drive, right, and get cars and.
Yes, we've taught 3 people how to drive this year and got their driver's license, and we would love car donations because
That's a huge write-off for somebody too.
right, and also it would be an instant employment opportunity because they can use that car to do Uber Eats or things like that.
Oh right, yeah.
And also get out of the city to get another job that they could go to Cypress, 20 minutes away, and there's plenty of places to work there. But it's
Right,
just
but when you're on
getting there.
foot. So I grew up in the hills of Caney Lake back in the day when there was nothing, dirt roads, and we had a grocery store that was like probably 15, 20 miles from my house.
Yeah, Prairie View's
up
getting its
and
first,
down hills.
Prairie View's getting its first
So,
Starbucks now.
Yeah,
so.
I was like, what are you going to do? You're going to kill water moccasins and eat fish? I mean, I was a kid, so I get it. Like, there's this, I think the statistic last year was we had almost 300,000 people starve to death in our country from this problem. That's not acceptable. And these are
No, not with the excess of food.
starving to death in the United States to me
Yeah,
is just
that's crazy.
I didn't know that there was resources out there. I didn't know about food pantries. How was I even going to get to a food pantry? I'm going to walk. I lived literally in the middle of nowhere. It was, 30 miles to the nearest city. I'm not going to walk 30 miles to go get something to eat.
Well, and the other thing that's helpful too is like if people have large events and they have a lot of food left over, like churches that have Bible studies. I mean, you've seen the food that goes to waste there.
If you have food in your pantry, give it to Sandra. I just cleaned out my pantry and I'm like, I know some of this was opened. Most of it was sealed still.
it was.
But I had coffee that we didn't like. I'm like, well, somebody will use it. Don't just clean out your pantry and give it to Sandra. I mean, she's the food pantry, basically. She just fills up her truck and she takes it and they use whatever they can. And so you don't even have to go out and spend money. If you don't have, some people don't have the extra money to go out and donate money. But, I think just donating clothes. I've cleaned out my closet. Everything I have, I just give it to Sandra now. I'm just like, here. It's also convenient.
Yes.
Because I just show it to B&I and
Yeah.
I'm like, here, we just transfer cars. But that's not why I do it. I do it because I want it to go. I know it's going to get used. I know it's not going to get thrown away. I know it's not going to be resold at a Goodwill for a huge profit. Because Goodwill, people don't understand, is like, they're barely giving any of that back to the community. It's a huge profitable company. All their stuff is donated, and then they charge if you go into Goodwill now, it's like a fortune for stuff. I won't donate to Goodwill anymore. I do shop there sometimes because they have good deals, but I don't donate to them. I don't believe in it.
Well,
I want to
and if-
donate to somebody I know is giving what I'm giving where it needs to go.
And if we don't absolutely need it, if we don't absolutely use it in our little community, then we'll take it to the university. There's a little, like, kind of a Dress for Success store there.
Oh, okay. I didn't know about that.
So we
That's
partner
really
with
cool.
the university. We refer back and forth.
Because there's
to
an
each other.
A&M in Prairie View. It's a separate campus from A&M in College Station.
Yes.
It's kind of like a little sub-campus that is a little less expensive and easier to get into for people like you guys, which is very exciting to talk. I'm so excited to talk about, y'all's little journey and y'all's plans. Is there anything else that you would like to talk about Seed to Harvest as far as needs?
So the other thing that we do is a lot of people, kids, youth, whatever, young people graduate from college and with a degree that they don't exactly know how they're going to use it.
Or how to get a job.
Right. And so we love to have people who donate an hour of their time in a certain career field that we can get on a Zoom with, and the students can ask questions about how did they get to that job, how did, what classes would be best to take, and what is that job like, so that they can kind of pre-interview that career and make sure that's what they want to do.
Right. Or internships with other
Yeah.
people.
And internships with other people so
We
they can
have-
be exposed.
Christy Fennell's interning, one of your students.
Yes.
We'll talk about her later. But yeah, stuff like that I think is
Yeah,
really
and
important.
Ebony is interning with a therapy group.
Yes. So Ebony, you want to tell us about where you're from, and you're kind of just give us a little bit of your history.
Okay. I am from Houston, Texas, born and raised. I've basically been there my whole life. I didn't get out of Houston until I graduated from high school to come to Prairie View. And that in itself was a very different thing for my parents, just being away from home, especially more than an hour away from home. But I was excited. It was an exciting experience for me. When I first got there, my freshman year it was pretty decent. I think I had a lot of financial aid, and it was like after COVID, so classes weren't as mandatory. So it was pretty easy going. But when I got to my sophomore year, the second semester, I started having a little bit of trouble in college just because my financial aid was kind of starting to dwindle down just a little bit. at first I would be I would be getting a lot of money, and then it just slowly just started coming down, and prices for on campus started going up. So I was really faced like, where am I going to live? Like, I can't afford anything on campus, and I literally don't know. I thought that the houses around the campus were, people who actually live in Prairie View, like they own these houses, this is their property. So I really did think about either maybe transferring from Prairie View or maybe taking a semester off.
Which we don't want to do that.
Exactly, because that causes a lot of delays. So I
Sometimes
really was against
people
that.
don't end up going back. They
Yeah,
just
and that's
can't.
what I was afraid of.
They have to survive, and they
Yeah.
don't go back. That's what happened to me. I never got to finish.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's something else, like you're talking about those houses, you didn't know that you could just rent one of those houses or, negotiate,
No.
Your financial aid coming in and things
Yeah.
like that. Those are things we need to educate. There's no way that you would know that because
Yeah.
you didn't come from a family who had done that.
Yeah, and not even just a family. I think that high school really sugarcoated what college is, because when I first got there, I was like, oh, like, where are the people to show me where this is?
So your
and what that
counselors
says?
weren't like educating you on resources and
Not
opportunities.
Really. It was more of they're just trying to get me accepted, and that's really it.
And then they weren't trying to like help you figure out how you're actually going to put it together.
No, not really.
Right.
They were just trying to show me the most affordable options. And I think the counselor that I had was more concerned about status. Like, she didn't want me to go to a school like that. She wanted me to go somewhere in like Delaware or maybe a Harvard or something like that. And at that time, I don't think that I was even interested in college that much. So Prairie View was just like I can just do this. It's not too far from home. It's affordable. But when I did get there, I did fall in love with my HBCU. I just think they have some staff errors. That's all. But to go back to what I was saying, high school really does sugarcoat college, because you have to become, like, when you step out there, you are becoming an adult. Like, no one is there to hold your hand. No one is there to tell you that this class starts right there, or you got to walk over there to go find. You have to really get out there and meet people and network. And I'm the oldest child, sheltered in the house, so I didn't know anything about doing stuff like that. So it really forced me to get out of my comfort zone. So when it came time for me to try to look for somewhere to stay, and my current partner now is the reason why I met Miss Sandra, because I was staying with him a lot during my sophomore year. And I met her, and I was trying so hard to avoid her. And one day, I was just forced to meet her, and it was with some groceries I was bringing in the house. And she helped me bring them in, and she was like, "Hi, how you doing?" And I'm like, "Hi." I don't live here, but I'm just bringing in some groceries. And I thought that would be like the last time I saw her, and then I'm just, it's going to eventually lead into me trying to figure out where I'm going to stay. But he was, my partner was just like, just sit down, have a conversation with her, like, just talk to her and see if she can help you. And so I was already moving in as a tenant, and so I sat down and I was like, okay, I'm not used to asking for help, but I need help. Like, I don't think that I'm going to have anywhere to stay. I don't have a job. I don't have a car. So honestly, you're like my last alternative. If you can't help me, then I don't really know what I'm going to do. And, during that time, I didn't know the, behind the scenes of, possibly not having enough to afford an intern, or, just it wasn't a lot of availability for work for her either. But I do appreciate it, because I think that she took a chance on me without even really knowing me, and gave me a job, gave me somewhere to stay. And I think that I blossomed from there. Because there was a lot of barriers for me working. Like, I couldn't even, like, she would tell me, you don't have to lock the door everywhere you go, like, it's fine. And like, she was just very accepting. And I feel like before college, even in college, like, I was having a hard time trying to feel accepted. And
you have a security issue, you have a trust issue. And you probably grew up in an area that wasn't exactly maybe the safest area.
Yeah, and I don't think that I had a lot of reliable people. Just my mother and my father. That's really it. Those are the people that I turn to for everything. So to, at that time, a stranger, to really put my hand out and say, hey, I'm willing to trust you. I'm willing to, go through this with you, through these struggles, and to have her there the whole time.
Did you feel kind of like, why are you helping me?
Yes, I really did. In the beginning, I really did not understand.
I was why do you want to help me? What's the catch?
Yeah,
what are you going to get out of this?
Exactly. I was just like, I'm just a student who's struggling. I'm broke. Like, I
struggle with that too. Like, people would try to help me. I'm like, why?
Yeah, I just feel like, do I need to, like, in the beginning, I literally couldn't even accept $10. Like, she was like, do you want something to eat? I'm like, no. Like, it's okay. I'm just wait till I get paid again. And she's like, it's fine.
So I just donated a HEB gift card for $25 to y'all. And I had been carrying it for a long time. Somebody gave it to me. It actually gave me two. The other one I donated to another. It was a women's shelter or women's support system for when they're exiting an abusive relationship. But I had carried it around. Somebody gave it to me, and I didn't want to take it. I was like, no. Like, I give it to somebody who needs it. She's like, look, just take it. And if you need it, you need it. If you don't end up needing it, give it to somebody who... Well, the crazy thing is I never ended up using either one of them. Not even $1 off of them. But knowing that I had them in my wallet just in case was fine. But yeah, she had to like force me. She's like, just take it. Just I'm not like, don't argue with. She was kind of like one of those ladies that are probably like Sandra. Like, kind of scared. Yes. Like, you don't argue with her because she's like, no.
Exactly.
I told you, like, take it, put it in your wallet. Like, I'm not taking it back, you know. And so I put it in my wallet and I carried it around for years. And I was able to donate it recently. I mean, I've had it all these years. I was just waiting. At this point, I haven't needed it in a long time, but I just wanted to make sure I donated it to the right purpose, to the right people. And so I get the pride thing and the paranoia of why are you helping me? Yeah. And I think Sandra's really good at breaking through those boundaries that people are, not necessarily boundaries, but the walls that we put up. She's really good at being pushy, but also being kind and open. And I don't know, she just has a way. She's very special.
She does, because I think that I'm a completely different person now. For sure. I try to, like, with Robert, I think me and Robert are kind of one and the same when it comes to being accepting of things, like, in accepting help. I think we have a very strong independence to ourselves. And like you said, Sandra is very pushy at times. And every time she does it now, I just, in my head, I'm like, it's okay. Like, there's nothing wrong with...
There's no catch.
Exactly. There's nothing... There's no type of transactional relationship.
Now you want to
to
do what she's doing, basically.
Exactly.
So tell us what you're going to school for.
I go to school for psychology. My hope is to be a clinical psychologist in the end, but the overall dream is to have my own mental health facility for men. Because I do feel that is something that is dismissed, men's mental health, and you're kind of brought into the world as a man, my opinion, as a man just to work. Just to provide. That's your only duty in life. Like, do you ever have a moment where you get to just sit in the room and cry or feel sad or feel this? Like, are you able to feel at all? So I would really like to...
Expressing emotions.
Yeah. I would really like to see that a lot more in men. And I feel like if I'm able to build...
We don't want them, like, sitting around crying all the time.
Yeah, not all the time.
Like, we
but
still
like,
want manly men.
Just to at least know it's okay.
Right.
Like, even if you don't do
there's a secure... way to do that. There's a place that you can go and feel comfort and be able to talk about your emotions and cry and not be judged. Or I think that's awesome.
Yeah,
I think it's cool.
Thank you.
I think God has definitely brought you where you are for a reason.
Me too.
Ebony has overcome so many things. She was terrified to drive. She was terrified to speak in public, and she ended up standing up in a group where that was asking questions to the president of the university, and she spoke. And
like a little butterfly.
Yeah. I think that's the part that the part that I love about nonprofit is that having a nonprofit organization really kind of builds a fire in you to want to help others and want to change things. So it's like sitting in that meeting with the president. In my mind, I was just gonna sit on it. I was just like, I'm not saying nothing. I'm just gonna let them take the lead. I'm gonna just sit here because at the end of the day, I'm just a student. What do I know? I'm young. But I just kept thinking about it more and more. I was like, as a person who has gone through things at this campus as a college student, like if anything, I should be the one advocating for them
That's
because
correct.
no one else is gonna say anything.
Well, they're not going to understand.
Yeah, they're not going to understand, So I just stood up and it kind of just came out like just naturally.
Because
just
there's some
expressing
issues
everything.
going on with these campuses where even if you do have the financial aid, even if you do have, you get into the dorm, they're end up giving it to somebody else.
Yeah.
So that's where I want to talk to Robert is, tell us, where you came from. Tell us a little bit about, what you're going to do. And I really want to touch base with kind of coming to where she left off, talking about the issue with getting into the finances, getting into the financial aid and the dorm issue and those kind of issues that you're talking about, that you're going to advocate for, which is amazing. You can get Robert to tag along with you.
Okay, so when I first of all, I'm from Chicago, so when I first went to Prairie View, it was a different experience because in high school, I wasn't really confident in that I wanted to go to college. The plan for me actually wasn't to go to college. It was to go to trade school to become a welder or a plumber. But I feel like I didn't even want to do that either. So I was probably just going to go to the Navy, which is still in my plan throughout whenever I finish college. But I was originally going to enlist, but my pops told me, he was like, look, you can't say you don't want to go to college. You haven't even tried college. You don't know if you're going to like it. You don't know if you're not going to like it. Just give it a shot. And I gave it a shot. When I first applied, I didn't get accepted, but I was on an admissions appeal. Wrote a beautiful letter went into high school. It was all fun and games because I thought I was a cool person. But then I realized high school is not even a big fragment of your life. It's just 4 years out of the 70 years you probably got to live. So I realized around my junior year I had to lock in and I had to get my grades straight. Graduated with a 3.1. Still wasn't enough, so I admissions appealed, told them what my problem was. They accepted me. They told me apply for housing. I applied for housing. So the day of, I'm going.
You got
down.
accepted to housing.
Yeah,
and
they
you
told
got
me-
financial aid for
They
it.
told me I got accepted housing, I have financial aid. They told me all this. It was you're gonna be in this apartment, you're gonna be at this and this and this. So I packed my bags and I'm ready to go to campus. And around the time I go to campus to claim my room, they said, you have to be 18 to sign the lease. And I was like, that doesn't make sense. I mean, I feel like if I'm 17, I'm already applied for the college and got accepted. I feel like regardless of my age, I am bound to get that room because that's what I signed off for. Put the down payment down. They gave my room to someone else. So now I'm stuck there with my pops, wanting to commit to college, and now I have nowhere to live. My pops ended up, I don't know how, but he called Miss Sandra. Miss Sandra found me a room and boom, 2 seconds. It was a blessing. I didn't know I was gonna get that. I thought it was all right, it's time for me to I guess give up on the college experience and just go enlist. But I don't know, it just came out of nowhere. Miss Sandra did that for me, and I think my main issue with the apartment was how am I gonna pay for this? I don't have a job. I don't have a car to commute. I can't do nothing. I'm on my limbs. I'm glad I got this spot, but when the cash flow stops, what am I? Now I'm just probably gonna have to drop out because I don't have enough to live in the said apartment. Miss Sandra, at first, I don't really trust a lot of people, so I didn't really trust Miss Sandra at first because I was she's just someone that's trying to get goodie points and feel good about herself. But yeah, the Miss Sandra, she was
feels pretty good about herself.
she did, but I was she ended up just telling me she had a job opportunity and I needed that. If I didn't have a job opportunity, I wouldn't be in the spot I am today. So I took upon her job opportunity, and she did more than a lot of people, a lot of family I know has ever done for me. I didn't expect I was gonna get my driver's license. My mom and pops, they were always busy. They could have never taught me.
Well, and if you get your driver's license and you your parents have insurance, I'm sure, on their own vehicles, they automatically add you to their insurance, which is going to make their insurance go way up, and your parents may not be able to afford that.
So it was
right? So that's an issue too. I mean, people don't understand that even if you could get your driver's license, how are your parents going to pay for the insurance? Because they're automatically going to add you to the insurance and charge your parents for that. And then your parents are going to be freaking out. And so that's another thing that she helps with is, getting a car, getting insurance, getting you licensed. So tell us a little more. So she got you set up with a place to live.
She got me set up with a job. She donated a lot of furniture. I was sleeping on an air mattress for 2 weeks, not even two, like probably a month in. Then she dropped by with like a box spring and like a bed, and it really felt like weird because I've never like accepted like furniture for real. Like I've never accepted furniture. I rarely accept clothes and old shoes. Like I just feel like it wasn't my place to accept somebody's. I don't want to say leftovers. 'Cause I don't want to sound like I'm too good for something, but like it didn't feel like a norm where I came from. But I also used to like I told Miss Sandra I walked like a mile and a half up to campus. I would go on campus around 8:00, come back home, then I gotta walk a mile and a half again. Miss Sandra, she blessed me with a bike. I feel like that right there just already made everything better. Biking to campus, it shortened my time. I didn't have to leave like an hour earlier before class, 30 minutes earlier before class. I could leave like 15 minutes earlier. It makes it good for me to go up to campus, use the library, and not be worrying about walking out like 10 p.m. at night when I could just bike home. So it was really like, it was weird accepting so many like unknown gifts from Miss Sandra. So it like really blessed me a lot and made me feel good about myself, made me feel good that Miss Sandra was here to like stay with me and make sure I succeed.
At what point did you start trusting her?
I feel like when she gave me she gave me a bed. Cause like no one's never gave me a bed. Like I'm not gonna say I've always slept on the floor. I'm not gonna say that at all. But a bed was like it's dope to have your own apartment and all.
It's different too when it's not your parents giving you something.
Yeah.
Your parents give you something, you're just kind of like, that's kind of their job.
Yeah.
But when somebody else does it for you, you're like, why are you doing this for me? It means something different, I think. So that was the kind of the moment where you started trusting her and accepting her help. And
That was a good question.
well, when did you start trusting her?
I think when she invited me to her house, that's when I did. Because I was like, okay. Like, I just did it. I was like, okay, I can just come. That's fine. I came to her house. I had, like, 3 different meals. She gave me clothes. She was like, you can sleep in my room if you want. I was like, what? Like, this is weird. Like, I just didn't understand it. I was like, she doesn't really even know me. Like, she kind of, because I hadn't known her I think I didn't know her for a year, not even, and she was already like, you want to stay? Like, you can come with me to B&I. You can come with me to, she took me to my first concert.
Y'all should all come
I
to
did.
B&I.
I liked
Our
it.
B&I is the best. I
I
missed
came.
that one, huh?
It was a while ago. It was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, she pushed me on my comfort zone for that too. When I did go to B&I, she was like, it's going to be
come
like,
back.
I want to. I like it a lot. I did my little presentation there, and I was just like, this is just, I met Frank Fuss, and he was just like, wow, I really like your presentation. Like, I feel like we should connect more. So it was just a good experience, but not to cut off Robert and his answers.
No, it's just so exciting to have y'all here and to hear your stories and your triumphs and tribulations. And can you tell me one misunderstanding? I'm gonna let you go first, and then you can go. Tell me one thing that really comes to mind when you think of a misunderstanding in your situation.
A misunderstanding of my situation? Can you elaborate just a little bit more?
What is something that you feel like is a consistent misunderstanding that people just don't get, that they assume you're in a certain situation and you can go to college, and because you're below the poverty line or your parents don't have a lot of money, they just automatically assume, well, they're going to pay for all your college and they're going to pay for everything because you can get all the grants and you can get all this stuff, but that's not happening, right? Or anything else. I mean, misunderstandings and just anything in your situation.
I think a big one would be scholarships. I think that people assume that scholarships are just you apply and you should be receiving them the next day, but that's not the case. I feel like people told me a lot that it's very easy. All you have to do is have a high GPA and this and this and that. But I literally spent majority of my time sophomore year doing scholarships, and I didn't get anything back. I really didn't. So I think that may be a thing that's misunderstood a lot. I think I misunderstood that in the beginning. I did get one this year, but that was like I applied to like 30, and I got like one back. So it's not.
And how
very
much did
easy.
you end up getting, if you don't mind telling us?
That one I think is just $5,000, but they split it into semester. So
It's two,
yeah.
2,500 and 2,500
Yeah.
a semester.
Mm-hmm.
And that covers not even your rent
no,
or food or gas or
yeah,
all the other things.
Mm-hmm.
Because your financial aid that you are getting is basically just covering your tuition. Is that correct?
yeah. Luckily, now that I'm in one of her properties, they don't charge me a meal plan or anything like that. So I do get a little bit more of a refund, but usually that entire refund goes to rent because my motto is I'd rather have somewhere to stay and be hungry. Like I'd rather have somewhere to lay my head at the end of the day instead of having to worry about paying for groceries or something like that. And I think that she also realized that, so she started doing these monthly donations towards, a few students, maybe the summer students, to get them some groceries because...
Well, and the summers are
yeah,
hard too because then you're
they
not getting
are.
anything.
They are.
Yeah.
It
So what
has
do you
been.
do in the summertime?
I just been working. That's it. I've just been working and putting money back, honestly, so that when school does
But you
start...
wouldn't have been able to do all of that without her help.
No.
You
I
wouldn't have a
have.
car.
I don't think I
you
would have
wouldn't have a
even
driver's
been here.
license. Yeah.
Yeah, driver's license. I still am shocked that I have that in my hand because she put me in a Ford F-150 and was like, "Come on, we're gonna drive." I was like, "I can't even back up a car." Like, are you sure? Like,
And
she
your
was like,
truck?
"Yep."
Yes, they were both. They were both. It was so funny because they were like, "No, you go first. No, you go first. No, you go first." Nobody wanted to be first.
Yeah, no.
So is Robert kind of like your brother?
Yes, Robert is my brother.
They fight like.
I
brother
could
and
tell at
sister.
lunch today.
Yeah,
Yes.
me and Robert started off like he was calling me ma'am at first because it was just phone conversation. Like we were really trying to get him into workforce solutions. Like
So you helped get him onboarded?
a little
kinda?
bit, yeah. Like I tried, but it was really Sandra who was like, you know what, let's just give him a job. Like let's just do it. And he came, we met him, and then we've been.
You're like,
this
don't call
ever
me ma'am.
since. Well, he realized, he was like, oh, she just like me. Like, like she just a student like me. And I was like, yeah, like we're really in the same boat. Like, and yeah, it's just been like this ever since.
Well, Robert, tell us about some of your, like maybe a misunderstanding or just something that maybe you would like to clear up.
A misunderstanding about college would probably be like,
Or just anything. Doesn't have to be about college. It can be about anything you want it to be. That you've struggled with in your life.
I mean, I struggle with trusting people, but like the main misunderstanding, I don't know. College has a lot of misunderstandings to me. Like housing is such a misunderstanding. The food, the meal plan. You're paying thousands of dollars for a meal plan that feeds you 3 times a day, but then as soon as it's 8 o'clock,
Yeah.
you're done. You can't eat. And let's say, God forbid, you're studying the whole entire time at the library and you're hungry because you missed a meal because you're trying to study for a test. You go in there and try to eat. Nothing's closed.
Or if you have a job.
Yeah, or you have a job and you can't stop by nothing to get something on the way home. So you're like, oh, I'm going to get this free meal. Then it's past, it's 8:01, 7:59, it's closed. Now you can't eat for the night. And probably you can go off campus to go grab you something, but it's late at night. You don't know your surroundings. You don't know what's going to happen to you.
You may not have money to do that either.
I mean, exactly. Like, it's bad. Like, when I'm in ROTC, and I remember waking up at, like, I had to wake up at 5 a.m. every morning and had to walk on a pitch black street. Like, every 5 steps I had to look around because I didn't know it was a new environment for me. And,
There's a Bigfoot out there.
who knows? Might be something in the trees, you know what I'm saying?
You got to listen to my first show.
Oh,
It's about Bigfoot.
I will then. But yeah, it was misunderstanding though, like about college is it's not easy.
Right. And they don't tell you all this stuff ahead of time.
Yeah, they don't. They just think financial aid covers everything, like she said. But
Or they just assume that you know,
it's
or
like,
you're just gonna figure it out as you go. Like there's no booklet or anything that kind of explains
yeah, even
how to go about all these things or what to be prepared for, or you show up at 8:00 and you didn't know that the cafeteria was going to be closed.
And there's a lot of labs that they have in the evenings for certain classes that don't end until after 8:00.
Yeah.
But then they can't eat, so you have to eat before, if you
It
can.
depends if whether
It
it's
might
a 4-hour
last.
lab or.
yeah, it might
Well, I
last
mean, if you're an
something.
on-campus student, you don't get a meal plan, so you kind of got to figure out what you're going to do, like, or pay out of pocket for the stuff that they are serving. Because if you don't have a meal plan, then you don't
Yeah,
have
so it's not
access.
like elementary, middle school, high school. They have cheese sandwiches or something.
No.
You have nothing. They won't
Gotta
even
swipe
give
that
you
card.
anything.
They won't.
There's no freebies. They probably throw food away too.
Sure.
Probably ain't nothing new.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that.
So what you were talking about their walls, and the most wonderful thing about, and they talk a lot about me doing things for them, but it's a whole community doing things for them. I mean, the furniture that we get donated, the food that we get donated, I'm just like, I'm the funnel
Yeah.
that it's coming through, but it's hundreds of people who are helping out on this.
We have a very strong B&I group that helps a lot.
Yes.
I feel like.
Yes, it's so true. And so the walls that they eventually drop and allow themselves to trust people, what that also does is sort of spark something in them where they want to help somebody else.
That opens up doors to trust other people to help them.
Yes. And so they can help other students. And so that's actually how we get more students to, come into the program or that need help or whatever, is because another student tells them, this is cool, you can go there, let's see see if she can help you. And so that, and then when they become interns, like these
Is that
two
how
are-
y'all found out about her? Is like her,
Yeah.
like other kids?
I didn't find out about other kids. My bad. I didn't find it through other kids. I found her through my pops. And she,
And you don't know how your pops found her?
No, I don't know. Because when I looked for off-campus housing at the time, it was just showing me, like, houses that were hosted by PV. I didn't even know,
PV is Prairie View,
Yeah.
right?
I didn't even know that was an option for off-campus housing. It
Like you
showed-
didn't either.
I didn't.
I didn't even know there was off-campus housing. It was always just the phases or the square or
Right.
it was. They don't advertise off-campus housing, and when they do, they will upcharge you
And
a
these
crazy
counselors, can you go? There's no counselors y'all can go to and get information.
Counselors are split by major, so everyone gets a different counselor. So my counselor for nursing was not that
Because you
great.
started nursing and switched. Mhm.
Yeah, she wasn't that great. I think it's because she was a little older. So
Do you think they're overwhelmed by just so many students and
Yeah,
having
I
to do
really
so
do.
much like paperwork?
I really do. Nursing is like one of the biggest, the biggest parts of Prairie View. Between
Yes.
that and engineering, that is the biggest class that they have. So when you put maybe like 5 counselors, they're having.
And
like,
there's not a resource center that you can go to.
There probably is, but it's just
You don't know about it.
It's not advertised
That is
as
the
much.
biggest issue with that campus, is communication about the students knowing things. Like, I think they should do a survey of the students and ask them if they know where things are on campus. Because, we'll go on campus and walk around and stuff, and I'll be like, oh, look at that. Did you know that was here? And they're like, no. So it's just, it's not exactly user-friendly.
What if we just make like a flyers that we can hand out like when school, like during orientation or something, we can just pass out flyers to everybody.
Yeah, I think freshmen, when they go to orientation, are so overwhelmed. And it just happened 2 days ago again.
It's scary.
They had
Orientation.
it's really bad now.
It's scary.
Orientation
Like-
wasn't even helpful for when
I didn't
went.
even go to orientation.
I went to
When I first got
orientation.
there. Because that's what I'm saying. I was at the Square. There is a on-campus housing called the UC, and that's where all the freshmen go. But for some reason, I didn't get into the UC when I first came there. I was with all of my roommates were either juniors or seniors or sophomores. So the things that the UC got, I didn't get. And I was like, okay, am I supposed to know how to do all this on my own? Like, or am I supposed to be going over there to be following the pals
So you
or
just
something?
didn't know what to do.
I didn't, and I don't even know how I got into the Square because it's not a on-campus housing for freshmen technically, but
It
I
is
got there
now,
somehow. I think it is now, but at first it wasn't.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we are out of time.
Mm-hmm.
I want to take a short break, and we're going to bring on one other girl on here that is in the same boat as y'all, a little bit different situation though, right? But I really appreciate y'all coming on today and telling us your story. I know that's kind of big for you to get out here and kind of open yourself up to what's going on, and I appreciate it, and keep spreading the word. The Sandra word.
The seed to harvest word.
Seed to harvest.
Sandra's
I love
not gonna
it.
be here forever.
Yeah. Yeah, but somebody might take her place.
Yes, that would be great if it would be a student. Hint, hint.
All right. We'll be right back.
Car enthusiasts of Conroe, FM 104.5 and 106.1 Lone Star Community Radio invites you to shift into gear every Monday from 1 to 2 with Cruising Car Club Talk with Robert and Randy for news on all things automotive in the greater Houston-Conroe area. Can't make a live show? We've got you covered. You can find all of our uncut content, including full episodes on Spotify, iTunes, Play Store, YouTube, Facebook, and irlonestar.com. Again, that's Mondays 1 to 2, Cruising Car Club Talk with Robert and Randy. See you there.
She's going to talk to us a little bit about her venture with Seed to Harvest and how she got where she's at and where she's planning to go. You want to tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from? And
Yeah, so I'm originally from all over Houston, I would say. We grew up in Rosenberg, but we moved a lot because our mom, like, she was on Section 8, and a lot of the homeowners, they just would want to sell out of nowhere. And so they'd be like, oh, at the end of this lease, like, you got to move. And so wherever she could find a Section 8 house is where we went. And we landed in Cypress, and we've been there for the longest, but it just so happened that this year the same thing happened. And so now we don't even have, like, a house to call home anymore, which kind of sucks. And so I was telling my older sister who goes to Prairie View that I was just, like, worried and just stuck in my head about, like, okay, well, how am I supposed to take steps forward? Like, what am I supposed to do to achieve the life that I want to achieve if I'm always trying to pay rent and pay a car note? I just feel like I got stuck into adulthood, and not even adulthood, but just, like, surviving with bare minimal. And, like, hardly even being able to feed myself. And she told me about Seed to Harvest and how they were helping
Your
her with
sister did?
housing. Yes, because she's a student with them. And so she had found housing with Sandra, and she was telling me that it really helped her. And she was just telling me how sweet you were and how you love helping people. And she was like, you don't go to college, but I think she would take you in and she would help you. And so I got an internship with them because I'm very, very interested in, like, property and investments and things like that. I just never really know which avenue to take or how to get my foot in the door. Because a lot of times I try to talk to people, they just kind of, like, look at me like, you know, like, what are you talking about? Why are you talking to me? And so I was
you're not
like,
talking to
okay.
the right people.
Yeah, I was like, okay, maybe I just need to go get experience, because a lot of people are like, oh, like, you don't have experience, so they don't even give me the time of day. So Sandra was like, okay, well, we can give you experience. We could, you know, fix up your resume and then just go try again. And I remember one day we were in the truck, and I had told her, I was like, oh, I have my real estate license. And she looks at me, she's like, are you crazy? What are you doing in property management then? And so she helped me get my foot in the real estate door better than what I was before, and she connected me with Christy and everything. So now I have a mentor, and she's also helping pay for, like, my fees and everything.
So you're mentoring with Christy Fennell.
Yeah.
That's
Yes,
awesome. How do you like it?
So far, I haven't really done much, but I do like it. I've been able to be in environments that I wasn't able to get myself into before. So, like, the brokers open and stuff like that, and actually presenting myself as an agent. So I enjoy it.
That was fun, right?
Yeah, it was fun.
It was different.
It was
You walked in that
different.
house, you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful home.
It was a really, really beautiful home. I've never seen a backyard like that.
I know.
Ever. Or a house that big. I was just like, what the heck? Our house was like
The pool, the
1/3
back
that
patio.
size. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun.
It's amazing. It's an amazing property. And that's the great thing about that is it exposes you to opportunity. nothing is out of reach.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can do anything you put your mind to. Now, how did you get your real estate license? Like, how did you pay for that? How did you get through that?
So 2 years ago, I had gotten my first apartment with my partner at the time, and it just didn't work out. We were high school sweethearts, but once we graduated and everything, life just started shifting. And so she moved out, and I was like, okay, well, now I really have to like figure out what I'm going to do, because when this lease is up, I'm going to be homeless again. So I got to at least get something done. And so as soon as my lease was up, I was staying in my car. And so I wasn't paying rent. And so rent was usually like $800. And so I was like, okay, I can take like I'm paying rent, but instead pay for school. And so I took that and I paid for real estate school. And I went, and I was just like, I was nervous because I'm like, bro, I'm in real estate school, but I'm, like living in my car and I look a mess. So I would just like walk across the street to the gas station and like go in there, brush my teeth, like wash under my arms and stuff. That way I was presentable so that nobody knew. But that's how I got through real estate school.
I lived in my car as
Did
well.
you? Yeah.
I did.
I've done it a couple of times.
I did kind of the same thing. I was 24 and I lived in my car for a little bit, and there was this park that had like a prairie dog park. It had a bunch of prairie dogs, which I would go over there and pet the prairie dogs, but they had a shower bathroom with showers, and I would go in there and shower and change. And I didn't want people to know I was living in my car. I was embarrassed, right?
Either,
You're embarrassed.
Yeah.
And this is the problem, is you're embarrassed, so you don't tell anybody,
Yeah,
so nobody
exactly.
can help you.
Yeah, and then, even then, like, even if I wasn't embarrassed, like, even now, I'm at risk of staying in my car sometimes. And, like, just a few weeks ago, I stayed in my car, and I just kind of, like, went off the grid. Sandra will tell you about it. I didn't want anybody to know because, it just puts you in a certain headspace.
You get sad.
Yeah. And so I'm scared of that, like, 24, and I'm still, like, living out of my car at times. So it's just a lot sometimes. But.
Tell her how old you are, though, and what you do. What you've accomplished a huge amount.
I'm 21 now.
That's pretty amazing that you have already got your real estate license.
Yeah,
you have an internship at 21 years old.
But it's also scary because I feel like I'm 21 now, but like I was just 18 when I was going to real estate school. So it's kind of like, dang, like what happened in those 2-3 years? I feel like I'm kind of still in the same spot. Like I feel like I'm doing a lot, but then when I look in the mirror, it's like, bro, you're where you were like 2 years ago.
You're not, though. You have experience.
Barely, because
you have
Sandra. Yeah,
you
barely.
have Sandra. So I'm just going to give you a little piece of advice. You got to let your pride go. You're going to have to ask for help when you need it.
Yeah.
There's people out there that want to help you.
I don't mind asking for help. I think it's just a coping mechanism. Mm-hmm. So, like, dealing with so much growing up, I was just talking to my sister about it the other day. And even with my girlfriend, like, sometimes I feel bad because I can feel in my heart that there's not a lot I can take on. And so I guess, like, my biggest fear is, like, getting close with someone and then asking them for help. And they're like, I can't do anything for you, you know? Like, I know that I wouldn't be able to take that on.
So you're afraid of somebody telling you no?
Not
she's
necessarily.
afraid of somebody else asking her for help.
No, not necessarily being told no or that. I'm just afraid of
the vulnerability.
Being kicked while I'm down.
Yeah.
Or like, yeah, I think that's the best way to put it, like being kicked while I'm down. Because I know I can't bear it at this point anymore.
Well, I think you can bear more than you think you can. Because I can tell you from experience, I didn't think I could do a lot of things, and I did it anyway.
Yeah.
I think you can do anything you really put your mind to.
I agree.
It's not going to be easy. Your life is going to be hard.
Yeah.
You're coming from a hard place, and you're always going to carry that with you. That's a part of you.
Yeah.
But I want you to look in the mirror and realize that you've gotten where you are because of you, not because of anybody else. You chose to go to real estate school. You chose to make the effort. You could have done any other thing. You could have went out and did drugs and drink and party and live on the streets, and who knows? You could be stealing. You could be doing a lot worse things. And you're choosing to do the right thing and build a life for yourself. The fact that you were thinking about, it's so funny. You remind me of me when I was your age a little bit. Like, I wanted to go into real estate. I wanted to flip houses. I wanted to do all these things. And I didn't know how to do it. I didn't have Sandra. I wish I did.
It doesn't everybody.
I don't think Sandra was in the position she's in now when I was that young, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But you have the resources now. I think you know that you have me, you have Sandra, and you have an opportunity to make those things happen.
Yeah.
Don't give up on yourself. You gotta look in the mirror every day and just tell yourself, I love you and I'm gonna do this for you. You gotta treat yourself the way you would treat a friend that you love.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, I try my best, but it just feels different now. Like, I think after going through everything with that whole situation when I moved out at that time and just, like, being homeless and everything that was going on with my dad at the time, it just really, really put me at a low spot. And, yeah, I just tried to do something really stupid. And I just feel like now just everything feels a whole lot different. Like, I can feel my emotions are, like, detached. So I guess I kind of scare myself in that sense where it's like, okay, like, I set certain goals and I have certain things in mind, but it's like my financial situation is always changing. And so I guess it's just like that fear of, okay, like, I'm in real estate now, I'm in the office, but what happens if I can't pay my MLS or my office fee? I can't, just go to someone and be like, hey, can you take care of this for me? Because if they tell me no, it's like, okay, now that's where that fear kicks in, and then everything that I had, it's gone that quick just because I can't afford it, or I don't have, like, the foundation where someone's looking out for me, like, I have to do it myself. And
I know people at the MLS, and I know people in that world, and I'm positive there's people out there that will make sure that doesn't happen.
Well, that's comforting. It's a lot more comforting than, like, when I think about it.
I just want you to not worry about the unknown. That's not going to get you anywhere. It's not going to get you from point A to point B.
Wait for the thing to come before you start worrying about it.
Yeah. I want you to live in the now and enjoy the
it.
now.
Yeah, maybe that's
because you're a beautiful human and you're doing great things. And I want you to be an inspiration to everybody that might ever see this on YouTube or whatever else that's in your situation, to know that they can get somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's not easy.
It's not at all.
It's hard. I think it's more emotionally difficult
I agree.
than anything. Worrying about a roof over your head and food on the table is stressful, but the emotional part is probably the biggest burden, I think, is we internalize our fears and not knowing and not feeling like we have a support system or not. We need that. We need love and we need community and we need help. We weren't put on this planet to do things by ourselves.
Yeah. And talking with Lene, you can see that one of the issues that, kids can be super ambitious and they can be super driven and they can have dreams and they have great ideas and they have the resiliency, but one of the things that does need to be addressed, and that's what we've just started doing now, is we just partnered with a therapist who will see our students for a reduced amount of money, because they do come up against a wall, where the trauma is there. They've just white-knuckled it and been on adrenaline to make it, to survive. And now they're actually in a place where they're not having to survive day to day. And so there's kind of some room for some of this trauma to come up and for them to have blockage where they can't get past it until they deal with it.
Well, you have a disassociation. I've read about things and I kind of have an idea in my mind, but they talk about like high cortisol levels and how it literally, when you live in those states, it actually causes brain damage. Where I'm not saying like, brain damage like in a sense
Well,
where
it changes your brain
it
chemistry.
changes how your brain connects your emotions and your reactions. And so you have a hard time reacting or not reacting, should I say, responding instead of reacting. And I think that...
Or even enjoying the life that you are creating.
Right.
What is the point of
You're in a
all
high
this?
state of fight or flight, kind of. You're like...
So everything, even if it's a small problem, seems like a big problem.
Yeah, it's just like that sense of like there was never any security. So it's like always be prepared. And so never get too comfortable. And so whenever something's going good and I'm living in the moment, it's like, okay, but you know, what is it gonna look like in 3 months? Like, what are the possibilities? Like, don't be stupid and think that this is what it's gonna look like forever.
I think that it's good to plan for your future and be prepared for things that are in your control. I think a lot of our issue is that we worry about things that are not in our control, and it's you know, I don't know if you're a religious person, but worry is a sin. Also, stressed, spelled backwards, is desserts. So,
Okay.
I think there's a correlation. You know, people that get stressed, we have a tendency to take it somewhere else, and whether that's in a state of panic, fear, overeating, drinking, drugs, whatever the different people take it to, that emotional state, we have to learn to calm ourselves back down and think rationally and just make a plan to fix our situation or fix our future or get where we need to be. And a part of that is one of my biggest problems growing up was pride. I had a lot of pride, and I didn't want to ask anybody for help, and I didn't want anybody to know I needed help. I just played it off like I was fine all the time. So I think now when people are like, what? I didn't know that. Like people that are very close to me, people in my own family, they're like, what? When my great aunt found out I was homeless, she basically ripped me a new one. She was like, why would you do that? Why would you not tell us, you know, you can always stay here? It was a pride thing. And we have to let that go, and we have to love ourselves and believe in ourselves, because nobody else is going to do that for you.
Yeah.
If you don't believe in yourself, you can't expect other people to believe in you in that kind of sense, right? I mean, we can see the beauty in you, and we can try to push you, but you have to have it for yourself. And the therapy, I think, will be really helpful. There's other things too. I love like yoga and being outside and grounding. I'm kind of a little bit of a hippie. Nature. I try to do grounding. I go outside and walk around in my grass barefoot. Actually, there's a sandy spot my dog has worn down. I get like direct contact. I think things like that, and just breathe and look at the sky and wake up every morning and think about all the things I'm thankful for. Even if sometimes we don't have a lot we think we can be thankful for, there's always something, right?
Yeah, I agree with that,
And I think when we get in that mindset, it makes it a little bit easier to kind of move forward.
Yeah,
But
you can't be grateful and worry at the same time. So
yeah.
just be grateful for a little while and don't worry for a little while, and just give yourself a break. But
Religious or not, there's a serenity prayer that is just amazing. It's
I got it tattooed.
Oh, is that what you have? I was wondering.
Yeah,
how
it's
amazing.
not a name. It's not a name. Everybody else asks
I didn't want to get too
Serenity,
close.
and I'm like, I would never tell anyone's name on it. It's not a
That's
name.
good. Maybe your kids or something.
Yeah, my kids for sure.
Yeah.
Especially not at this age. I wouldn't tell anyone's name. I
Yeah.
don't care how serious I
Where
am.
do you see yourself in 5 years? Where would you like to see yourself in 5 years?
dream.
In 5 years, I don't like that word.
You don't like dream?
No, and I'll tell you why. Because I feel like growing up, that's all we saw. I feel like all our mom ever did was dream, and it put us in harm's way.
Okay.
Because
That's
there's
negative connotation
there's
for
a
you.
difference between dreaming and aiming for something. And a lot of times our mom would tell us like, oh, like, don't worry, in 2 or 3 years, like, we're going to have a house in the hills, like, we're going to get our house built, and we're going to do this, and I'm going to win the lottery, and da-da-da-da-da. And it was just always dreams. And so it taught me, like, don't ever dream. Like, set goals and actually work towards those goals. Don't just say you want something. Everybody wants something in life, but it's just a dream if you're not putting in the work.
So where do you see yourself?
So for me in 5 years, I would like to for sure have at least 1 or 2 Airbnbs. That's something that I've been trying to get into. I just don't know how. And then I found out Christy has one.
I
so.
can help you with that as well.
Nice.
We had a show recently. We talked about renovations and things like that, but that also applies to Airbnbs. But I have a whole group of people that can
Great.
help you.
So I want at least 2 Airbnbs or 1. You never know. It's just 5 years. And then for certain, I at least want to have at least 24 transactions as a real estate agent under my belt within 5 years. And I feel like that's the bare minimum.
You
too.
could do that in probably 3 years.
Yeah, so I feel like that's the bare minimum. And the biggest thing, really, what I've always wanted to do, I just don't really like talking about it because a lot of people are like, oh, like, whatever, that's some stupid stuff.
Don't listen to people.
But
I had a lot of people telling me I couldn't do a lot of things.
YouTube, like, I want to be a influencer there. Because I used to
you know
post
you can start a
videos back
YouTube
then.
channel and start posting
Yeah,
about
I
your
have
real
a
estate.
channel. It's just that I haven't really been active on it because I'm never really in the headspace. But I've been like doing a little vision board with my girlfriend and everything and trying to get back into it. Not trying to, but actually like actively working on getting back into it. Because I remember I used to post videos on there and I had posted like my coming out story on there. And that video has like 10,000, maybe even 12,000 views. And I remember at the time when I was worried about coming out, all I did was like binge watch those kind of videos on YouTube. And I looked for someone who could guide me because you don't have that in your life. And so I want to be able to provide the same thing. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you have a lot to do for the next 5
Yeah,
years.
I do.
Have you ever seen the movie The Glass Castle?
No.
You should watch it. It's a lot like your story.
It sounds like a fairy tale.
Your mother is just like that movie
Yeah.
from what you're telling me.
Yeah.
Have you seen it? I'm
Yes.
sure. Yeah.
Yes, it is very similar.
I cried a lot in that movie because I had a similar upbringing in some ways. I have a mother who is a little nuts, very talented, just didn't know what to do with it.
Just wasn't grounded in the reality of life.
Yeah, correct.
I think maybe that's what it is. Because whenever I think about whenever I'm like living in my car or asking
you know,
other
at least you
people
have a
for
car.
help- Yeah, I know. I had to get
There's
one
some
of
people in
those.
here that didn't have cars.
My car is
No.
mad expensive, but that's always like my priority. Which is kind of why I'm freaking out now with like the whole
Don't freak out.
thing. 'Cause if
Just
I can't
take
pay my
every
car
day
note-
one step at a time.
Yeah.
Right. But with my mom, I think that's where it comes from because for me, I tell even my girlfriend, I tell her like pride is not a thing for me. Like I don't mind admitting that I'm wrong. I don't mind asking for help. But I think it's just the thing of where like watching my mom, she always kind of looked for someone to save her. And so I guess I'm afraid that someone's going to view me that way. Like I'm just trying to like, you know, like eat off of them or like I want them to save me or something.
I don't think anybody views you that way.
I hope not. But,
I
but
can
that's because I
guarantee
don't
you
ask
that's
for much. I feel like if I did, they'd kind of
you don't come off like that at all. Asking, there's a difference between asking for help when you need it and working to pay it back. And you don't have to pay it back with money. You pay it back by using it to build your life for better good. That's how you pay people back that want to help you. Because you can't help people who don't want to help themselves.
Yeah, I agree.
That's an issue.
Yeah.
I've helped so many people in the past that didn't want to help themselves, including my mother,
Yeah.
multiple times, and they just drag you down.
Yes.
But you're not one of those people,
No, you're
clearly, or she wouldn't be helping you.
Nope.
Because she has high standards for her people.
What is the saying? When I'm working on your problem harder than you are, then we have a problem. So I've never had that situation with you.
Yeah, you're
You're
going to be
always doing 80%, 90%.
And now,
the help is 10%. That's it.
all these people on the Misunderstood show are going to hear about you.
Yeah.
People are going to want to help you. And you never know. There's people in your situation you're going to inspire.
Yes.
There's people that have come from your situation and have been successful
Yeah.
that may want to help you, may want to invest with you. You just never know where life can lead you. And just keep pushing forward. Just keep, you're here. You didn't have to be here.
Yeah.
You didn't have to show up to that broker open house.
You just keep doing the next right thing, and you're going to be fine.
Yeah, you're going to be good. Okay, my last question is, tell me just a short something of something that's misunderstood about you or your life or your situation.
My appearance and my lifestyle. I think that's a big one. And even within myself, like you keep mentioning, like religious or not, I think it's pretty obvious. I mean, this lifestyle steers you away from it. And I feel like that's a block with a lot of things. Like when I talk to a lot of people, they see me first. So it's hard for them to listen to anything that I'm saying. I feel like they see me and instantly I'm misunderstood because they see like tattoos, which a lot of times I try to cover them.
Judge you.
Yeah, they see tattoos, they see dreads, they see the eyebrow slits, they see brown skin, and it's just like, you know. In this world, it's like when people approach you, you just think the worst, especially when they look like me. So even if I'm talking to you about property or something, I feel like they think I'm trying to find a way to like rob them or something or like set up something. So I feel like I'm just misunderstood whenever I go in for interviews or just any initial sit down with someone. I feel like
Because
I'm
you feel
never
like you're a
really heard.
hardworking, honest person.
Yeah, and they see the complete opposite, which is really discouraging at times because it's like, dang, like I'm trying to do the right thing all the time and I'm trying to be the best version I can be. And I do everything to make sure that I'm not seen as, you know, that kind of person, but I still am. So.
Do you feel like people maybe like you or discouraged to be good people because of it?
I do. Because even for me, like, obviously I wasn't always this way. It takes a switch. It takes for you to mature and realize certain things. But when I was in the situation, like moving out of my first apartment, I was going out, I was drinking, I was getting high, but then I was like, you know, this isn't me. I'm just doing it just because I'm homeless. So I'm like, you know, might as well. But I feel like you just have to find it to be like, okay, no, I'm going to be different. And that's what did it for me. I was homeless and I was sitting at Starbucks. I think I was about to take a nap or something. And I seen this guy, looks just like me. And he was sitting on, he had like this massive iPad. I don't even know why people get them so big these days, but he had this iPad. And now that I think back on it, I think he was actually in his 2-year renewal class. I think he was taking SAE for real estate. And he was getting ready to walk out and I stopped him and I was like, I'm sorry, I don't mean to bother you, but do you mind if I ask you what you do? Because I seen like his key, he had a Tesla key, he was in a nice suit, you know, just paying attention. And then he was in a meeting. And so he's like, oh, I'm actually a real estate agent. And I was like, bro, that's crazy. That's what I want to do. And I'm literally sitting here trying to figure out how to get out of this position that I'm in right now. And he told me like where he went. And whenever he told me the price, I was like, bro, I can afford that. Like, that's what my rent just was. And so, yeah, I feel like if it wasn't for him, his name is Morris. I haven't talked to him since, but I want to, but I feel like he's gonna
Maybe
be
he'll
like,
listen to the show.
I feel like he's gonna be like, who the heck are you?
Do you know his last name?
No, but I have him in my phone. I have him saved. But yeah, I feel like just seeing
Should
him.
give him an update.
Yeah, I probably should. I don't know if he'd care though.
He
I
would.
only spoke to him for
I
like
think
5
he would
seconds.
I think people like to know that they had an impact on somebody. That's important.
That could change him. You don't know that.
Yeah, possibly.
That also is a learning lesson that anybody that you ever come encounter with, how much you can impact their life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just in a conversation at Starbucks.
Yeah. Like, I literally talked to the guy for like 5 minutes. And he's like, I gotta run. And I was like, dang. And then I ended up going to real estate school. I don't even think I would have found a good price school if I didn't talk to him for the time that I did.
And here you are.
I know, right?
So let me ask you a question. Do you think over the last 3 years of your life, if you could sort of make a list of all the things that have happened that have gotten you to where you are now, do you think those are coincidences? Or do you think that it's the universe setting you up?
I think it's karma. I like to say it's the universe, but a lot of people don't agree with that. So usually I just keep my mouth shut.
People can call it God. They can call it, you know, whatever. As long as you understand there's something bigger than you.
Yeah, I understand that much. I just don't really like to talk about it much because then everybody starts to like try to convince me why I should think that it's God, and I don't like that.
All that matters is that you understand there's something bigger than you.
Yeah.
And so when you're feeling like you're not going to make it, you need to remember that there's something bigger than you that's propelling you towards that.
There's a plan
Mm-hmm.
greater.
Yeah.
Some of y'all know my religious views, so we can't talk about that on the show. But most people that know me, I stand pretty strong in my belief because of my experiences. But I didn't get there easily.
Yeah.
It takes time. And you can't force things on other people, especially their beliefs.
No.
Yeah, there's
And
been
it's
times
not
where I
right to do
tried,
that.
I just
And
get
it's
let
not our
down.
right to judge anybody either. I 100%.
But it happens.
Our job here is to help each other and guide each other, and we have to do that by example. They're not going to get to where you're not going to want to hang out with Sandra and let her help you and be a good person and be encouraged to be a good person if she's not good to you, right? If she,
Right.
so I think that it's a combination of things that matter, I guess. But really, I think at the end of the day, it's love.
Yep.
All you need is love.
Yep. That's it.
I have no idea what that is.
It's the
but-
Beatles.
Oh, yeah. No. Before
I think
my
John
time.
Lennon wrote that song.
Yes.
He was
He was the peacemaker.
very peaceful when they executed him. You know, all the peacemakers get executed.
Yeah, that is true.
You know, lots of them. Martin Luther King, JFK, anybody Abraham Lincoln, all the peacemakers. So be careful if you want to be a peacemaker.
Yeah, trust
They're
me.
coming for you.
I mean, that's how it is in the real world. Like, if you try to, you know, like, maintain peace between two sides who don't agree, like, they look at you like you're the bad guy, and it just causes a whole lot of chaos. So I feel like it's that way all the way around.
Sometimes it's better just to walk away from people who are just trying to fight and argue. It's not
I be
worth
trying
it.
to tell people that. That's what I do. I just remove myself all the time.
Yeah, it's not worth it. No Jerry Springer here.
I don't know who that is either.
Well, guys, I really appreciate y'all coming on today. Yes, you probably just know. Sorry, I'm old. Showing my age.
I've heard of Jerry Springer. He passed recently.
He did. It was like a
Yeah.
couple years ago, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
That was like one of the first shows I saw when I came to this country, and I was like,
Really?
"What is happening here?"
I used to watch it because it made me feel better about my life.
Yeah. Okay.
It's true.
It's a little toxic, but that's all right.
I was like, well, it could be worse.
Completely understandable.
But anyway, I really appreciate it. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for coming on and being so vulnerable. That's pretty big.
I
Takes
did
a
not
lot.
plan to cry. I
Yeah.
hate crying.
It's all right. It's good.
call
The other
us
two
Barbara
cried too.
Walters.
Don't feel bad. Well, at least one of them did. A little bit. Sandra cried.
Oh, did
Oh,
she?
Sandra
I cried.
Sandra's always crying. Sandra's gonna cry regardless.
We gotta get Dick to cry now. All right. Well, thank you for coming on. Oh, and so if anybody would like to donate to Seed to Harvest,
Yes.
you can reach Sandra at 832-441-0424. It's in the description, linked on all the platforms. You can go to seedtoharvest.org, seed number 2 harvest.org. It's Seed to Harvest Community Outreach. And so they're a 503C, 501C3.
3C. Yes.
Sorry, which I can never say that correctly. It's a nonprofit. So anything that you donate, you can write off, especially companies that want to save some money and not give it to the government. They can
Yeah.
give it to you instead.
Yes.
Or us here at Lone Star
100%
Radio.
of everything goes to the students and the kids that we work with.
100%.
We don't
Sandra does not keep a
I do
dime.
not have a salary.
She, I guess,
I'm volunteer.
is a volunteer. And how do you make money?
I'm property manager.
Oh, that's right.
I have another job.
You're like me. I have another job too,
Yeah.
and I love doing this job. I wish I could just spread good word and news. but-
Same. I would love to just do this job.
So yeah, we had a great show, and so I'm excited. If you want to look up the show, it's called Investing in People. In the description is holistically helping at-risk young adults reach their full potential.
And if anybody wants
The
to be a
people we have.
mentor, you will
Mentors.
Yeah, you will not find
Jobs.
You will not find more quality people than what our students are. They're amazing, amazing, amazing people.
Yeah, they have a lot to lose, so they want to do a good job. No freeloaders here. And as you can tell, they're awesome. You can also reach us at the Misunderstood Show at gmail.com. Miss is spelled with two S's. Everything is in the description. We're on Facebook, YouTube, all the things. And I feel like I've had a lot of emotions today. I'm ready for a nap.
Me too.
So anyway, thank you. We'll talk to you soon.